It's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, I have Adeshina, who has created One Kiosk Africa. Now, a lot of you have an interest in Africa. I get the emails, the calls, the WhatsApps, Telegram. I want to know more. Give me some more of that African game. Show me. Well, this is going to be crucial. And I'll tell you why when Adeshina explains what One Kiosk Africa does and why this is such a great thing. Welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much, Kellen. Great to be here on this amazing show.
Well, thank you for being here. And I want you to tell people why One Kiosk Africa is such a great thing. And also, if you are the first in Nigeria or maybe even the first in Africa to have such a platform that they can download on their mobile phones.
Thank you very much for that question. So basically, we like to say we are the first, with the level of social impact that we brought to the online retail platform, which some people also call the e-commerce platform here in Nigeria and also in Africa. So why did we even start in the first place? There's a statistics around, job creation in Nigeria, which actually states that about 84% of the jobs created in Nigeria alone are actually created by the micro, small, and medium scale businesses. But it's quite unfortunate that out of, every two businesses of three, two out of every three small micro businesses in Nigeria have to shut down within 3 years. The challenge, when we dug a bit further, we found out that they actually have issues around access to market and also access to finance. This is a huge challenge, even when we have a huge population that is always growing and always ready to key into the market of the produce that these micro, small, and medium scale businesses have to offer. The only revelation or the only issue that we found out is the fact that they don't know these small businesses, and also the small businesses don't know these buyers. So we decided that let's find a way around this to actually provide a retail platform that can increase the sales revenue of these micro, small, and medium scale businesses by at least 3x. So our goal basically is to make sure that before they met us, perhaps they were doing 100,000. By the time they work with us, within the few weeks or months, they should actually grow their numbers to at 3x of what they were doing before. So that would obviously solve the issue of access to market. But we also understand the issue around access to finance. This is a huge challenge, a very huge challenge. In fact, right now we have a deal to facilitate of over 2.2 billion naira, in terms of supplies, and I know for sure that trade finance is an issue for this micro, small, and medium scale business. At least I've been operating here for quite a significant amount of time. So basically, the only way they can have access to finance is if they have records. Without records, nobody's going to give them money. Nobody's going to give them access to credit. But most of these micro, small, and medium scale businesses before now do their transactions manually and offline. But with an online platform that they can manage their inventory, they can manage their sales data, they can also project that, okay, I've done this within the last 4 weeks, 4 months. What it means is that I have the potential to do X, Y, Z if I have extra to actually facilitate that flow. That, among other things, were some of the things that inspired us that we should actually drive a platform, a retail platform that can give these micro, small, and medium scale businesses, connecting them to their online customers and then giving them access to finance from their sales data. We started this out in 2019, July, with our first pilot in July, and it's been very awesome and fantastic. I can tell you that the numbers have grown, geometrically. We closed up last year amazingly with close to, just below $1 million, in transaction volume that went through our platform. This year, we already have done over 70 million, and we already have a pending supply deal of 2.2 billion. That just shows the huge potential that the African market actually holds. But just so that we don't just talk about money, the social impact side of what our business actually brings to bear, and why is it even different from the regular e-commerce platforms or retail platforms that have come before us. Most of them actually focus on just, individuals and also big guys. We are bringing it down to the grassroots. We are engaging with informal retailers, bridging the digital literacy gap, and then connecting them online. So this is also helping us to be able to curb the issue of trust, because before now, most of the quality assurance issues are always, top notch on the customers, mind, whereby they are not even sure of where they are buying from. It can just be a ghost, but right now we are working with these micro, small, and medium scale businesses who work tirelessly to have stores, to connect them online and then give them access to market. What this has also done is that it has created over 1,000 indirect jobs. And then through those people who pick up these orders within various communities, we've been able to create over 200 plus direct jobs. Imagine if we expand both, across Africa, we have the potential, obviously, to create the next 1 million jobs. Thank you.
So let's even why I think it was so great, and where I read it was How We Made It in Africa. I'm a subscriber there, and I've had the founder on as well. Is you are creating a solution that I personally have had in Cameroon, when we're in Cameroon, where at night, if you need, I have little kids. So if the little kids stuck up the toilet, especially little American kids who use too much toilet paper like I did, and you need a plunger, instead of going from store to store to store, like my father-in-law and I had to go, I can geo-trace where that product may be. So that saves me a lot of time. And where Americans and many Europeans are used to using a service like Yelp, and I'm sure you're familiar with, yours is for Africa, because Yelp is yet not in any of the 4 African countries that I have been able to go to. It's not even in, I believe, Malta. It's certain places. Yelp's just not there. So you solve that problem, but you tapped into something I didn't even know, that the finance. So can people then invest into these companies, find them, and then invest into these small companies? Is that something that, am I right did I hear you correct?
Yeah, so that is possible through our partner companies. So because we are more like a platform that facilitates this, so they could actually work with our partners. We have 2 partners at the moment who actually, have a huge chunk. We have Finanza, we have RLM. So if you want to work, to actually invest, and then finance some of these guys who are obviously going to have their data, before they give them money. In fact, for Finanza, I can tell you that Finanza uses a plugin of AI to also, run through this data and then give them, access to credit based on the projections and results that they have. So, those opportunities are opened, and the beauty of it is that Africa is still, on the tap. Africa is still in its infancy, stage, and it can act. In fact, Africa is the future, and we're actually in the future already. Let me just cap it that way.
Yes, I always tell people when they say Africa is the future, I say the future is now. So, and if you
Yeah.
go there, you'll see. I actually tell people when they say, "Where are you from?" I say, "I'm from Okanda." That's Oakland, after you've seen Black Panther, because that's just how I see it. Like, I'm born in America, but when I'm in Africa, wherever I'm at, I feel good. I haven't felt, I feel like this is where I belong. So it is definitely the now. Now, I want to know, how did you create this? Because you're a young man like myself, and when you had this idea, family and friends probably said, "Oh, hold on, you're crazy." Where you went to college, they probably said, "Come on, man, just, focus on working for somebody. There'll be a good government job. Do that through the government." And you already know there's that stigmatism in Nigeria of everything is 419 when you talk about stuff like this. So how did you put it together on not just paper, but what type of team? Did you have to grab angel investors or venture capitalists? And, explain to us.
Thank you very much. I think this journey has been quite amazing because my entrepreneurial life actually started, way back as when I was as far as I can remember, I was 7 years old. I was actually assisting my parents in so many, business ventures that they had, and going into uh, college, during my undergraduate studies, I could remember making sure that, once my parents settles my school fees, the remaining of, taking care of myself was on me. I needed to make sure that I was okay, and I needed to make sure that I could focus on my academics. So I started out by saying, okay, what do I have? And I think really that's one of the reasons why I have a strong passion for small and medium scale businesses and also buying and selling, because is really, really something that everybody does every day. So what I started out with was to say, what do I have? Far back as college, and I said, okay, I have this, iPod. Those were the days of iPod, when iPod really came out. And I said, okay, I could negotiate, and sell it for a higher price. I did that, and I added money, from the profit, and I threw it back into the business. From one iPod, I was selling 10 iPods. From 10 iPods, I was selling both accessories of iPods, and I was also selling other, gadgets. And before long, I saw that there was a huge volume, and I replicated that same success, flow. But as usual, like you said, I graduated with first class in accounting. I'm, I'm associated or affiliated with most of the professional institutions, from management accounting to management consulting. I have all the, professional, affiliations in that sense. So typically, everybody would think you go get a job, go maybe perhaps even lecture or something. But I just had this burning desire that I could do more. I could do more than just sitting, you know, in a 9 to 5. I could impact my world. I could create more jobs, even far more than, what, it would be in terms of in a 9 to 5, uh, environment. That's not to say a 9 to 5 environment is not good, but I just felt I could do more. And that actually led me to, starting out, my first venture, which was obviously Home Tutors Nigeria, where I was connecting tutors, to verify tutors to parents, and well, like any young entrepreneur, I was overloaded with a lot of requests that I could even handle. At some point, I took up a particular request, personally, to actually take that child, uh, who obviously also was also an undergraduate, and that led me to, there's a popular market called a coal market. It's a very big market. I can tell you that millions of dollars go out of that market every day, in terms of transaction volume. So that led me to go into that market, every um, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That means 3 times a week. And anytime I go into that market, what I see is opportunity. I see money. I see people moving out with a lot of, left, right, But I also understood something. This is for a segment of people that actually even understand the opportunity. What about we take this opportunity and open it out for a whole lot more people? It's going to create jobs, it's going to reduce poverty, and it's going to change and digitize the whole retail flow. So what I did was to, approach some of these, vendors, and then I told them, why don't I work with you in terms of showcasing your product online? So I started, taking pictures and then putting up their products online, and then before long they even got more orders, you know to add up to what they already currently have, the people who come in store. So basically that was how it started. But in 2018 I decided to lead the Provi team, and that same 2018 was a year that the likes of Konga, and a whole lot of other e-commerce platforms were shutting down, or maybe getting acquired, or getting, you know, they had a lot of challenges. That was a turbulent year for that particular retail space. And OLX and GG, some of them had exit out of Nigeria. And I said, okay, how do we then support these small and medium scale businesses? Somebody needs to use a model that can work for Africa, can be tweaked for Africa, can be molded for Africa, and that was actually what bettered One Kiosk. And that is why we are also very sensitive about our geolocation based, future, because that easily connects and that also boycotts the issues around logistics, because logistics is a big challenge even up to now in Africa, in Nigeria, and in various other regions. So for me, I needed to create I needed us to create a channel that can actually boycott some of these issues and still become profitable. So I talked to a few friends, obviously my CTO at Provin. I told him let's make this happen, and we went about doing some little surveys just to understand if people were going to be receptive to a new model that was crafted out to actually solve the existing challenge. And then by July 2019, with just a landing page, that had Google Forms attached to it, we decided to say, let's test. We started with just food to see would people be interested in ordering food from the closest, vendor without them having to walk down to that store. And then we saw that within less than 24 hours, we were getting orders over 500. And we're like, wow, that is just a validation ready for this kind of system. We found out that the market was ripe enough, at least for us to launch out. And then we said, okay, how do we take this to the next level? Because it wasn't sustainable to be manually matching stores with customers with a Google form that we started out with, because that's what we had in terms of resources. So we started out by saying, okay, let's take a leap, and just be confident, mobilize, employ. It's quite funny though, but that's what we did. We brought in some group of developers, mobilize them and said, see, how much do you want to take? We're going to pay you after the project, but we didn't have money, but we just believed that money was going to come. Um, we brought them together in my house, powered the generator, all the stuff due to power issues and all that. Give them food so that at least they are comfortable and they won't think about the money for so long, at least spending when they finish the project. And then, we started out, the development of the software alongside the CTO. And that's, actually started out. Then it came to the point whereby we needed to pay. And I was like, how do I do this? Because obviously, yes, the business was still moving, but it wasn't generating as heavy as we wanted it to be. Then so we said, and obviously for the landing page we were still using. So we said to ourselves, okay, what do we do? So one day I just decided that okay, I have quite a lot of people within my network. Why don't we try it out? So I posted on my social media and I said, I need $10,000 to offset these guys. This thing is going to be the next big thing. And somebody just commented and said, check your inbox. And within 48 hours, the money was in my hand. And I cleared everybody. And then the web app was ready by January. This was sometime around December 2019. And then by January, the web app was ready. And then coincidentally, COVID came, and it gave us, a better opportunity to actually, build on what we have and then also massively roll out, other new product lines, that can actually capture the market. So basically, that's how we started, and that's how we've also grown and also had other angel investors, who have, identified us and believed in what we are doing.
God is good all through that story. And I mean, to go out and find somebody to work for you just on faith alone, then to have to believe that I can get this money, and you put the call out and it just came. I mean, that stuff, like not out of movies, but out of scripture, things that just happen when you're working in your purpose. So congratulations to you on that. Now, when you do take these investors, because this is a very common mistake many new entrepreneurs make, when you take on these investors, maybe that 10,000 might have been just a love offering, but investors want their money back. So have you been able to get to that stage where we've taken investment and then we've made it worth their while for investors?
Oh, definitely. We've been able to grow our current, investors, funds, if they actually want to cash out right now, by 3x already, we intend to grow that to over 5x or even 10x and even 100x as we go. But basically, right now we're profitable as it is, but we want to expand. We want to, achieve more. Like I said, we have quite a huge, numbers that are growing by the day, and at the same time we still have a huge, regions that we have not fully tapped in. So basically, when we did our strategy session earlier this year, we saw that we could actually do averagely 6 billion, within a month, if we really put our mind to it and we have the capacity to actually extend. Because really, like I said, we already have a supply that we're already doing for we've done 70 already million, and then we have a 2.2 already billion, which we can actually close up if we have the funds, because we also need funds to facilitate some of this stuff, before the ending of this month. So basically, that's what we want to do, and we are very excited about the who have actually embraced us earlier, in our growth process. But I can tell you the fact that, our business model is so exciting, so amazing that, even the exit strategy was thought about even from the onset. We had our exit strategy right from the beginning. We have a lot of value chain players who might want to embrace us both globally and locally at the right time. But for now, we want to disrupt the space. We want to keep disrupting the space, pending when we want to have that conversation. So for any investor, obviously, they are working with a team of passionate people, not just for the money, but also the impact that we are creating within our community. But in terms of the return on investment, we are also giving them a top-notch, you know, um, long-term, medium-term, exit plan. Is already thought about.
If you're taking investment dollars now, how much or where can people find out even more information, but for how much before they even send an email out should they be willing to invest, and for how long should they be willing to hold? Because you have everyone, it seems now, wants to be like an investor, but they need to understand the rules and that it's high risk, and even stock, if you're on the stock market, that's a high risk, but this is higher risk than that, but the payout is so much sweeter. So where should they be at in dollars or in naira? You pick.
Okay, so because right now we're trying to close up, a current round of $500,000, and we currently have commitments of $150,000. Even as of today, I'm still engaging with about two, investors, who are looking to actually state their level of commitment before the end of next week in terms of how much are they bringing in. So basically, it will be fair to say an average ticket size of 50,000, to actually join this current round will be interesting to do. And we're looking to close this up before the end of Q1 this year so that we can fly, and deliver more dividends, to our investors.
Okay, I think what you're doing, I mean, it's amazing on so many different levels, and I know you're not, on the stock market yet, but when it is, I told my audience when I found out, and I found out late about Jumia, but I bought Jumia when it was $5 or less, and now we see, and even Africans told me, don't buy that. Jumia's going down. And now, it's doing well on the stock market, but stock is one of those things where I don't look at it. You buy and invest in what you believe in for what you can afford. So I love that. I want to tap in though and let people know who you are, because some folks may say, oh, he kind of looks like, I don't know the guy's name. I know he didn't finish high school. He dropped out, but he's the richest man in Africa. You guys should know the man's name. He's the king of seamen in Nigeria. But they might think, you're his son. But I want to know, what was your upbringing? You said your parents were entrepreneurs, but did you serve in the National Youth Service Corps? How many papers did you write? I mean, I just kind of want to know how privileged you were in creating this, or how difficult it was, because you did have to, serve in the NYSC, where many folks in the West, they're like, wait, you had to serve? What do you mean? You're a genius. Why did you go even do that? So explain, coming up, how you came up.
Thank you very much. I think for me, I grew up in a middle class. I was privileged to grow up in a middle class. My parents were averagely, stable. But along the line, my dad lost his job, and obviously that early on made us to grow pretty fast. And by privilege, I was also privileged to go to one of the best schools, high schools, called Nigerian Military School. So by privilege, I also served in the Nigeria Army briefly before actually venturing out. So obviously for me, I have military background in terms of discipline, in terms of leadership, in terms of ability to be able to execute. That was actually instilled in me at a very early stage. And by privilege also, um, we earn, in terms of money at an early stage. While we were in secondary school, which is high school, we were being paid a monthly stipend allowance, which also then also made that responsibility to value money, to come early, to me and to other colleagues, who went through military school in Nigeria. Yeah. So basically, for me, it was a mix of both ups and down growing up, but it also, quickly, made me to be able to take responsibilities for my future. It helped me to be able to take responsibilities to be able to direct where I want to be and how I want to get there. Because the future of the future that we talked about yesterday is today, and the future we're going to talk about, tomorrow is going to be shaped by what we do now. So basically, for me, those were some of the things that actually shaped me up early in life. And by privilege, I went to a private school, but like I said, I practically took care of all my um, living expenses, to go through that school. And I still managed, to finish top of my class, with the first class. So that was something that, when I look back at, I'm always proud of. After college to also write a book as a way of giving back. I'm always fond of giving back actually, to my community. So I wrote a book and I distributed over 1,000 copies, to various high institutions here in Nigeria. During my youth service, I was privileged to go and motivate a lot of students, engaging them, telling them how they can actually, build their leadership prowess, their business prowess, and also excel academically while in school, because those were some of the things I did while in school. So I wanted to pass on that and that information back.
No, that's great. And talking about passing that
Thank you.
information back, I ask every guest, what is their community give back that they are doing, and you've shared some of that. But also, what do you plan to do in the future, as a community give back?
All right. So basically, at One Kiosk, part of what the goal right from the onset was in terms of the social impact is to ensure that we actually align to at least achieving one third of the projections that was done by the Boston Consulting Group. So sometime around 2019, early 2020, uh, BCG, that's Boston Consulting Group, had released a report saying that e-commerce actually has the potential to create 3 million new jobs by 2025. One Kiosk want to be part of those companies that can be looked back to, that we actually contributed towards at least 1 million of those jobs, directly and indirectly. So, part of our vision, is actually to be part of those, technology companies, to be that, retail technology company that is actually driving inclusive economic growth and job creation. So inclusive growth in terms of anywhere we operate in, we want to see that, relationship between when we before we got there and when we got there, how the economy has grown, and when we got there, how the jobs have been created in terms of how people have been gainfully employed. Because if we're able to work closely with these micro, small, and medium scale businesses. They are the future. Put to it. These small and medium scale businesses have the potential to employ 2, 3 people averagely. But apart from that, the government can now have a comprehensive database of these businesses. They can plan, they can support, and they can also project that in the next 5 years, this is the revenue that can actually, be generated from these businesses. There's no longer going to be how do we, understand the needs of these, small businesses, because now there's a platform that you can connect directly with them and engage them effectively. Credit facilities can now be routed, because now you now have data to actually qualify whether or not they have the potential to pay back. So there's a whole lot of amazing things that we can do. And for me, that goal of making sure that by 2025, even though at One Kiosk we gave ourselves 2024, actually, just a year before 2025. So we believe that by 2025, we should have contributed to the next 1 million jobs. But apart from that, I'm very passionate about young people because I'm also young, and by privilege, I've been able to do quite some significant, platforms or being on various platforms. So I want to help and raise the next generation of young people, vibrant people who are not just self-centered, who are not just thinking about being entitled, because I wasn't having that feeling of entitlement. I had to go there and make it happen. So we have a lot of Generation Z and a whole lot of them growing up, and they have this entitlement. I want to be able to give them that inspiration that they can secure their future without any form of entitlement, without any form of thinking that, oh, they're going to give it to you on a platter of gold. You need to go after it and you need to achieve it. And I also volunteer on various platforms like the Tone Lumelu to support other young entrepreneurs like myself, to also like knowledge exchange centers to support fresh graduates and share my knowledge, share what I know, and try to help them to point, the future for themselves.
You guys, it's free to download. I've downloaded it even here, just to kind of see. And I believe even for sellers, you're not charging them. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but some
That's very
sellers out,
correct.
that is correct. Some folks, I say this is sometimes a black people problem globally. They want to stay off the radar of the government because they don't want to pay the tax. And we know in Africa, tax can be very laxed. So in theory, you getting all these businesses, some people might say, I don't want to be on the radar. He might give this information to the government, and then the government can easily contact me. Have you thought about that? Because that's also a big money play for you. If the government says we want to use your services on the back end, like they do with Facebook and so many other platforms. So talk about that, please.
Okay, so the truth is that there's a whole lot of there's the other side of the business trying to say, okay, I don't want to come on board because I don't want to be on the government radar. But there's also a whole lot of advantage because, so for example, I've seen the federal government here in Nigeria, doling out a lot of traders funds, 10,000, 30,000, and a whole lot of them. But I can tell you for the record that over 50% of these funds don't even get to these retailers, don't even get to these small businesses. They are actually either fine-tuned or siphoned along the line. But with a platform like ours, it's going to get to you. So it's one of those incentives for them to be able to come. And we also know that there are a lot of international organizations who would love to support micro, small, and medium. But if they don't even know how, or you are not even on the platform, how will they connect with you? You know, we know that the United Nations as a whole is trying to ensure that the sustainable development goals are achieved, and part of it is actually poverty eradication. How do we actually achieve poverty eradication? People support these guys. So if you are not there and there's a platform or maybe there's a channel to actually support those that are there, then they will be missing out. But on the side of what can be done in terms of the government, they can harness some of this data as we scale up. We are currently on the going to ensure that we get on board the next 100,000 stores, which will be significantly good because Now the government can then support these 100,000 stores to achieve the next milestone. Not just about us, but also for them to be able to know, okay, what can we project from this revenue that these businesses stand to get over the next 5 years or after the next 5 years? Who and who do we give tax holidays to? Because yes, we can see what they make and how they make, and from there we can actually make policies. And that is why we are also passionate about working with some of these government agencies to also, drive and influence, some of the policies to favor the micro, small, and medium scale businesses. So we are very close with the digital agency, NIDA here in Nigeria, OIE, and a whole lot of state governments, Ogun government, the commissioner for commerce, the SA commerce, Lagos State, a whole lot of them like that. Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, the Lagos Innovate, and a whole lot of them will work with, um, you know, while trying to make sure that they actually drive policies to support these small businesses. But let me also tell you something. On the manufacturer side, now from the data, the manufacturers can also plan because now they know where their products are being consumed more. They can now also assess even the retailers. So the opportunity that is massive.
It
The value
is.
chain, you know, cut across a whole lot, but just for time, let me just stop here.
No, it is. And we could go on because I want people to understand you cannot get full if you do not chop the gari. You can't eat if you're making money and you're not spreading it to, give to Caesar what is his. So if you're making money, why are you worried about tax? You pay your tax and that you can get, resources. I see your platform growing. Now, for those who say, okay, I want to see all the businesses that I can invest in, including yours. What are those steps? Because I'm looking on the site and I don't see one for like investors yet. So maybe there's a different site I need to go to.
Oh, okay. So basically, for investors, all they need to do is probably just shoot a mail or just, because we have a deal room that we could share and you could get, quite a handful of information. Or are you talking about the small businesses? If you're talking about the small businesses, then we could connect you with any of those
Yes.
partners, that you can then invest, in. So that can be arranged, after this call, or, I'll just give you, some of their contacts, and they'll just give you access to some of. In fact, I think financiers still said they have quite a huge chunk of waiting list. I think about close to almost 1,000 though, waiting list that they are kind of working on. So I think, you can talk to them, and I'm sure we can actually take those conversations forward. But if you want to invest directly in One Kiosk, you can actually just reach out, and then we make give you access to our deal room after doing some basic conversation, and then you could have access to some of our data in terms of what we are doing, our numbers, and some other things that can actually give you that confidence. But also for our global audience, for the US market investors, I can tell you that Africa is the next big thing. Africa is even like the future because some regions have developed to an extent, but because Africa is still developing, there's still room for a whole lot of massive growth. And part of the decisions that we have also done strategically is also to also register a US vehicle. So we also have a US leg that you could invest through, to get down into Africa. So you don't need to wire your funds down to Africa. You can invest in the US One Kiosk vehicle. We will then, funds, our business here in Africa.
So that means you already have partners in the US and, you're
No,
connected.
we're actually fully registered in the US, and we have a bank account in the US.
Man, so you guys got the game. I would give you more, but we're going to take it offline because you have got so much game to hear. I mean, whether you are a consumer, an investor, just, whoever you are, a seller, this is enough game for you. All of the One Kiosk Africa links, they'll be in the description box and we'll keep you posted. I'm going to talk offline. We're going to talk about the investing because I have a website called Mall for Africa. And that's something that I want to put whatever you have on there. But let's talk about that offline. Like, share, subscribe, people. Thank you for coming on, brother.